Hey everyone, welcome back to Bros and Shows. I'm your host, Josiah, aka Mahler67, and with me, as always, I got my buddy, I got my pal, I got my brother Austin. Austin, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
I'm doing pretty good. I can't complain. Just been doing laundry, taking care of things around the house. Make myself dinner for the first time. Not in the first time, but made myself dinner. I made spaghetti for the first time in a long time is what I meant to say. I'm like, there's the term. That's the words I was going for. Yeah, but like, first I get to just work, do that, get the stuff done, and then played some games today and took some naps. It was a good day when it comes in the form of like a day off. What about you, man?
Pretty much all I did today was I cleaned. Hey, there you go, Parmesan cheese. I switch it up. Put nutritional yeast in it. It's so much better for you. And it tastes exactly the same. But it's like 9 grams of protein per tablespoon, and it's like 2 grams of fiber.
Well, I overdid protein. I put like sausage and everything into it.
Nah,
Bunch of stuff.
No.
Hey, it's fine. This was full when I used it, but like it's almost empty. Like that's how much like Parmesan cheese I throw onto spaghetti. I love Parmesan cheese, man.
So today pretty much all I did was I cleaned up some stuff, got all my decorations dealt with pretty much. Didn't do too much stuff today. I played. So Steam has their, little. Here, I'm gonna do this real quick because I forgot that I took the lighting out of my room. So Steam has like their summer sale. So of course I was like, their their autumn sale or whatever. Pretty much a Black Friday sale. And I decided to buy Justice League, Kill the Justice League. Which it was like $3.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'll do it. So I've been playing that a little bit today. I watched the rest of Only Murders in the Building, season 4, and then I just pretty much just hung out all day. Like I didn't really do too much today. I was just like kind of more of just tired.
Yeah.
Just didn't want to do too much. I did a lot this week. Had like some things going on with work. I found out that since my 90 days hasn't like got there yet, I couldn't pay what they couldn't pay for my time off that I have for the school. So like Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday I did not get paid.
Okay.
So I had to do like I work at another job too, like a second job. So I actually had to do shifts, and the only shifts that were available were overnight awake. And so what was it, Wednesday and Thursday, I was working from 10 p.m. until 8 a.m. Which totally messed up my sleep schedule.
Yeah, for sure.
I was like, oh man, but I need to do this. So I did. And then I just slept all day. But then I did like the traditional stuff because we had Thanksgiving, and with Thanksgiving my mom and dad came over to my father-in-law's, and then we had turkey and stuff, and then I went into work and then got off, and then after every Thanksgiving, the next day, that Friday, the Black Friday, I go with my wife and my father-in-law and mother-in-law, and we go get their tree. We used to get like a live tree, but then my wife started scaring herself with the whole live tree thing, and she's like, I don't want to do this. Like,
wait, what do you mean scaring yourself? Yeah.
So like she has this thing that she's like, I don't like a live tree because what if I forget to water it? What if it burns down the house? Blah blah blah.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like,
I thought you were like, who's being all afraid of it. I'm like, what do you mean by afraid of it?
She's like, phobia for pine trees.
I'm gonna wake up one day and it's going to overgrow and take over the house.
Tree House of
like
Horrors.
it's a
or no, Little Shop of Horrors.
I've never seen that. It's on. I know I can watch it at any time because it's on YouTube and whatnot.
It's on
but I've never watched it.
It's good.
And I know I'll like it because everyone tells me I'll like it, and I love musicals. I just need to sit down and watch it. But I have this perpetual issue with watching shows. I will just choose not to watch it, like watch shows whenever I'm like in bed or whenever I'm just chilling around, because I want to give my 100% focus when I watch something. But then the only time I give something 100% focus is if I'm sitting at my computer.
Yeah.
But then when I'm at my computer, I'm like, yeah, I'll play some games while I'm doing the other thing, and that's not 100% focus. And so I'm in this weird like perpetual shifting of like different things, and so I just need to sit down and watch it.
Well, I think that's gonna change because I have an idea. We'll figure it out. We'll get you to watch it. It's good. I think that you would really enjoy it, especially since you like musicals. You'll love Little Shop of Horrors. So
I know, like when it came to like the Rocky Horror Picture Show, the motivation that I got to watch that was actually going to a shadow casting of it with my friends, and that was amazing. Like especially for the first time ever seeing the movie. I will be 100% honest here. I don't know what the heck happened in the movie. I understood like certain beats, like, oh, there was these couple got lost in the woods. They find this person's house. He's creating like the most perfect man to be his lover, I guess.
Yeah.
And then they kill the biker dude and then was eating him. And then he gets mad because the perfect dude started loving up on the girl. And then it turns out like the two butlers are actually like police from space, and they're taking him back to space. Like the ending is such a fever dream to me. I don't know what happened, because when you're watching a shadow play of that, like, you know what I'm talking about, but I'm kind of explaining it more for like anyone who's listening or watching. When a shadow play has like additional objects you do with it, like they'll give you a newspaper that you're supposed to put over your head whenever they're running from the rain, or they'll give you cards to throw whenever they say like cards or poker. And so there's a lot of like prompts that for someone who has never seen the movie, you don't know when they're coming. So I'm constantly going down looking at my reference list, so I'm doing everything with everyone else. And I just, the end of that movie, like the cast was going all out, moving around doing this stuff, and there's like, they have the movie playing, but then they have people acting out the scenes as well. And that's where I think I lost the narrative at the end, because they were doing a lot and I was watching them, but then I wasn't watching the film, and then I wasn't understanding what was being said, and I had to like throw things at people, and people were yelling things, and I'm just like, what's going on? It was amazing. It was fun. I don't remember what the ending of the movie was. That's all I got from it. So I know like some people, sometimes they do shadow casts of Little Shop of Horrors, because it's kind of like that same little cult classic setup as well.
The room's the same way. Yeah.
And so I was like, maybe I'll whenever they do one of those, I'll go to that, and that's how I'll watch it, or I'll just watch it by myself one night. But yeah, no, like wow, went off on that tangent after just talking about a Christmas tree. Geesh.
I know, right? Yeah, but yeah, no, that's pretty much what we did. And then I came back and I slept for like a couple hours, and then I got up and put the Christmas decorations up, and then I was like, all right, I'm ready to go to bed.
That's nice.
So I could get back in my groove of like my sleep schedule.
For Thanksgiving for me, because originally you were talking about me trying to get back for it. Now I wanted to, but I couldn't get Friday off. Only to find out when I went in on Friday that the other person that thought I was filling in for the day was working, because he couldn't get Friday off. So I was like, wait, if you couldn't get Friday off, I assume I couldn't get Friday off either. Who is stopping you from taking Friday off? Because the only reason why he can't take Friday off is because I would take Friday off, or vice versa. And so I'm like, well, dang, I could have actually went back home if I could have got that off. Like, that's more meaningful to me than someone who like still got to spend Thanksgiving with his family, because he lives like 20 minutes away. So I was like, that kind of sucks, but what can you do?
It is what it is. It is what it is.
Yeah. All I did, Austin, was just get home, cook myself some hot dogs and mac and cheese, and then watched Only Murders in the Buildings and played games all night. Like, that's all I did that day.
Oh man.
Nothing else. That was my Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm thankful for mac and cheese. Cause gosh dang, I'm a fat boy and I love it.
Oh, man,
But
that's-
anyhow, Austin, I think we need to talk about something that you did this weekend, which was murder some chickens. But this time we murdered some people in the building. Only Murders in the Building, season 4. Austin, gotta ask, what did you think of Only Murder in the season 4? Only murders in this season. Only murders in the
Only
building.
Murders in Building season 4. So, I think I'm getting to the point where it's starting to, I don't know, it's starting to lose its touch a little bit with me, but it's still good. Like I like it. I still enjoy it, but it's getting to the point where I think that maybe it should end, or, you know, I think a good thing should come to an end.
Yeah, I get
thought
you.
that they were going to end this season. I thought this was going to be the last season because it would make sense. I just feel like, you know, it's like everyone is murdering people in the same building, you know, and you're like, oh, okay, you know, how many murders can we have in a building, you know, within a couple of days or years, you know,
a
like,
year or so.
yeah. So like, I was like, yeah, man, you know, it's kind of weird. You know, but the thing is like, it still was great. Like, I still enjoyed the season. I really thoroughly did. And they had an all-star cast this season. It was phenomenal. And what's really funny, I just laughed so hard with Martin Short when they were just like, oh, Ron Howard, finally,
A
we can get
celebrity.
And I was just like, yeah.
You know what made me
Right.
laugh about that, right?
What?
So there's only one gripe I have with this show,
Yeah.
this season at least. And that is, this season felt like it was written by a Gen Xer more than all the other seasons combined.
Yeah.
Because the amount of like jabs at Gen A and like Gen Z people in this season was over the top. And they were all the like eye rolling, cringy, like stuff of like, spill the tea, do this. And it's like, oh no, it's the people who are online, like they're watching TikToks and they're like, this is such a stupid thing to say, let's make fun of it. And they all were doing it. Even Mabel at one point did it too. And I was like, that's so like, why have this? And you mentioned the whole like, oh, finally we have a famous person. And I was looking back at like all the different actors and everything of that sort. I'm like, the joke is that there's a bunch of famous people here.
Yeah.
But to young individuals, like young actors, only one person, like young people, not young actors, like maybe like Gen A or Gen Z, maybe. Only one person on this cast is maybe like noticeable to them. And that's either Camille Najnai, which absolutely love that man. Anytime he's on, I'm just always like, come on.
When they
I can't
showed him,
handle
I
the
didn't know he
truth.
was even this season.
I
and, like,
didn't
when they
either.
showed him, I was like,
I was happy.
is it Camille? I was like, all right, we're good. We're good.
And then of course Mabel. Like those are the two youngest of the actors that I think like younger people would know from other stuff. Even
Well, Paul Rudd. Like they
Paul Rudd. Yeah, okay, yeah, you're right. Paul Rudd. Yeah, I forgot about Paul Rudd. He wasn't playing Paul Rudd.
He was playing Oliver.
He had the most crazy like Scottish accent. I don't like. Okay, here's the thing, man. I have this weird issue with like like actors nowadays. I don't know if they're actually from different countries or if they're just doing an amazing Brit like American accent, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Like
They
whenever
mess
I
with me.
watch or listen to like Tom Middleditch, the guy who plays Spider-Man, I forget his name, Tom Hiddleston.
Or
No, the new Spider-Man.
yeah, Tom Holland.
Tom Holland. When I hear him talk, it's such like a common American accent, and then when he talks in his native like language or native accent, it's such like a culture shock to me. And it's the same thing with like David Tennant and all these people that Hugh Jackman. It messes with my brain. So when he did it in this, I'm like, is that his real accent or not? I don't know.
The one that got me most was Bella Ramsey.
Bella Ramsey.
Bella Ramsey.
Oh, Bella. Yeah.
Because you expect her to be American. She's like, hey, how's it going? And I was like, hey, she's British.
They're all British.
Everyone's British.
They've always been.
I didn't even know Andrew Lincoln, like from The Walking Dead, was British. And then when he talked, he's like, you know, like, and I was like, what? You are like, I don't get it.
Yeah, no. One of the things that kind of like catches me off most of the time is that, and it makes me feel a little bad because I'm like, I don't know, and so I don't know if this guy just did a funny and good Irish accent, or if
is American.
He is American. Okay.
Yep.
Again, I was kind of caught off guard. I just didn't know what to say.
I will never forget the first time the first ever time I've ever like seen Paul Rudd. I didn't even know it was Paul Rudd until like later on in my life, someone brought it up and was like, hey, that's Paul Rudd. And I'm like, oh, it's not. And they're like, yeah, it is. And I was like, oh my gosh, I've watched that commercial like 30 times when I was a kid, and I didn't even know it was Paul Rudd. And that's a Super Nintendo commercial. That was his first start, was a Super Nintendo commercial where he was playing the Nintendo on like it was like a drive-in movie screen.
Oh yeah, that's pretty epic.
Yeah, and I didn't know that, and I was like, wow, that's Paul Rudd.
I can't say when it was that he got on my radar, but like ever since I watched Ant-Man, I was like, man, this guy's so charismatic. I love this guy. And then I find out he's been in shows and movies. You know what?
Yeah,
I think it was Friends is the first one that I remember him being in, because he was
Phoebe's lover.
Yeah.
Like, well, her husband.
Yeah, her husband, like later in it.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Yeah, no, I think that's the first time, but I didn't really see it as that. So, yeah, no, that's interesting. Yeah, but back to Only Murders in the Building. This season felt very much like it was like older people writing, making fun of younger generations, and I don't know. It was that was the only issue that I really had. You mentioned like the idea of losing its luster to a degree. I kind of understand that, but coming from someone who has watched over 160 episodes of Case Closed, and the premise that Jimmy will never get his body back and will be stuck as Conan for the rest of his life, does not bother me because I enjoy the murder mysteries. And so this like duo setup, my brain's like, yeah, are there going to be like infinite murders in this building? Yes, because there needs to be, because I enjoy the cast too much.
Man, Paul Rudd died twice.
He did. He got killed off twice.
He got murked twice.
Both times off screen too. That was crazy.
If they bring him again for the next season, I will lose it.
I would love it. I would love him.
It was kind of shocking that they got some money here. Like they got some pretty big, because Meryl Streep is still there. You know, Jane Lynch, you know, she's been there since season 1 as and then, you know, they had Melissa McCarthy. They had, you know, Molly Shannon's been around since season 1.
They got the new official SAG president now.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Because he officially has been voted in as the SAG president now.
Yeah, I was gonna say they had a lot of people. I didn't think they were gonna bring Ron Howard in, and it was kind of funny when they brought Ron Howard in. I was like, wow.
That's the definition of a good joke, like a good setup, where you make it be shown like, we're doing the cliche Hollywood thing of him off screen. We don't show him. They're just always like a second too late. Yep. And then he just walks in and you're just like, okay. Yep, you got me. Yeah, you got me.
Ron Howard.
And then the fact that he actually knew the joke whenever he's like, classic joke set up there.
Yeah, and what was it? Zach Galifianakis, and then my favorite, Eugene Levy.
Eugene
Levy so much. That guy is a national treasure.
I know like the older individuals like Eugene Levy because I think he was in those one. He was in American Pie, I think is what it's called.
My favorite one of his is called Best in Show, and it's about a dog. Like, have you ever seen like the dog shows, the Best in Show?
Yeah, John used to do this.
Yeah, so you should watch it. I'll put it on the Plex, but it is hilarious. It's got Eugene Levy, and he's like one of the judges for it, and it is a raunchy comedy, and it is funny. I'm like, wow, watching Eugene Levy say that, and of course Steve Martin, man, like I love Steve Martin. He's my favorite comedian.
The comedy in this season is good. My biggest issue was the constant jabbing at like Gen Z, Gen Alpha and they're not even present in the show, you know, like it's not like you have anyone that is of that generation. They're all millennials and ups, and it's kind of like, okay, we get it, like the younger slang doesn't make sense to you all and you like to joke about that, sure. Move past that, you know. I did like the character arc we got with Zach and gosh, I always forget his name. He's like the
Short.
Yeah, Martin Short. Yeah. I liked that arc we got with them talking and like him slowly coming to terms like, I'm going to play your character to the best of my ability. I'm going to make it good. All this stuff. I liked that whole setup. I didn't like how Mabel's replacement in Mabel herself didn't really ever see eye to eye, nor did anything change with them. They just kind of existed to exist. Like even Steve Martin's character and the other actor, they had like their realization, they like move along and they fix stuff. But like it was all just kind of like, why didn't they get one? It just, I don't know, it felt weird to me. It was something there. I don't know.
I will say this though. I did enjoy the part where they were like, when the actors think that they discover the murderer.
Yeah.
And then they were like, yeah, there's all these plot points from season 1. There's a bunch of plot holes. And I was like, oh man, are they going to retcon like all the plot holes? Because that is hilarious. And then like
that was great. Well, no, they brought holes to it, which was one of the things that like everyone pointed out. It's like they never figured out who poisoned the dog. They never like did X, Y, or Z. This doesn't make sense how this would happen. And it was right. Like those things were plot holes. And then they're like, oh, we know why they're plot holes. It's because it was the other tenants the whole time, which they were right about. It's the other tenants leaving the notes and everything, but they never confessed to being the ones who poisoned the dog. So who poisoned the dog is still a plot hole that they purposely left open.
Yeah.
I'm going to laugh whenever they finish off the series at season 6 with Sting coming out admitting that he poisoned the dog, and they're just like, we knew it, we were right.
Poor Sting.
Because that was like what they figured out. Like that's what they thought at the time, was like, oh, Sting poisoned my dog. But it wasn't ever confirmed.
Yeah, because this is going for another season again.
Yeah, they confirmed the 5th season.
Yeah, because completely, like the doorman is dead.
Yep, the doorman died. I love that guy. It's one of those characters that like never got respect to him, because like the butt of the joke is like, hey, we don't ever want to listen to you because you kind of ramble. Yeah. And then the person dies and they're like, oh no, we liked him all this time, blah blah. I'm just like, man, I hate when they do that.
I will say I did like him in the scene where Steve Martin was trying to explain who the killer was. And like he had himself, like I love when Steve Martin does comedy like that, and I'm pretty sure he wrote that segment where like he's like in that really fine suit and he like shoots and then he like walks up and then like the doorman's like up there and he's like, huh, that must be some type of bird. Why would it be in my hotel? Like, Steve Martin wrote that. He wrote that because that's his humor. That is such Steve Martin humor. And I laughed. That whole segment, I was laughing so hard because I was like, oh my gosh, I love it. I love Steve Martin's like humor, especially like when that happens.
There was a lot of things about this season that they did like a good wrap up to a lot of stuff in it, like in the season. But they also like did like a weird. We're just not going to talk about that and just move on, you know?
Yeah.
Like
see, like Steve Martin talking to like his stunt double, like in his mind, was funny because the thing is at the end, his stunt double that he's seeing gives him good advice about himself. And he accepts it, but his own self is the one that gave him the advice.
He's crazy. He's going crazy.
he's
but I love that because, like, you know what? I would very much. I wanted them to end the season with this, but they didn't. I wanted them to end the season that like he opened with the money he got from like selling the script, open like the Saz Memorial, what are they called? Double, stunt double, trampoline store that she wanted to open. I thought that's how they were going to end the season, is like, we're opening this in Saz's memoriam. Because that's what Saz wanted. I'm like, that would be a great ending for Saz's character and like Steve Martin's character and all of them, since they know they profited off of someone else's work effectively. My only gripe I had with this season, I think it was a similar gripe I had with the last season, is the twists that they did in this season, you couldn't have predicted until they revealed them.
Correct. It wasn't anything that was built up to it until the last 2 episodes. The last 2 episodes, I started realizing, I was like, well, but here's the thing. I predicted who the killer was, but I couldn't specify how it got to that, but it didn't give me hints for that. I was like, oh, okay, this kid, and the problem I have, if you can write a good story, like how they did with season 1, where Jan is in the season the whole time and she is doing things and you can see it and put it together. Mm-hmm. I like that. I like that transition, doing that twist. But when it's someone that is a brand new character and they're kind of minor, it sends up a red flag in my head being like, yeah, this is the guy that's probably going to kill them.
That's not even the issue. Like, here's the thing, right? When it comes to the bad guy who was the killer this season, you wouldn't have known that he was a sniper until the episode he got revealed, because up to that point you never knew he was a son of a hunter.
Yep.
If that was a throwaway line in the very earlier parts of the season, a little better. If it could have been like found out later that he was the stunt double, like they found out the stunt double on the episode that he got revealed, and it's like, well, you wouldn't have ever figured that out, those connections. The connections they did connect and make were very subtle and didn't really show anything, like whenever the one dude says like, oh, you grew a beard, mate, to him, showing that he met him before. But the joke in that situation was, oh, he thinks it's Mabel, but it's not, and they framed it that way and they cut it very early. It's like you can't see that he's actually thinking of something else. The whole thing about them pointing out how like each time he does a rewrite, right, the script gets worse and worse. That was a good tell, but they didn't, like, the issue I had with the team this episode, which is kind of like their bread and butter, to be fair, and it's part of the comedy of it, is that they never came up with the concept of the double or the stunt double perspective until like episode 9. And I called it on episode 1 when I was watching it. I'm like, she got killed because she's his stunt double. And then they're like, oh, she got burned, she has all this like Bulgarian stuff in her. And I'm like, okay, so it's being tied to other stunt doubles. And then whenever he gets shot and it ricocheted, and they're like, he was trying to kill me. I'm like, self-centered. Like, obviously he was going for him. He didn't know about the plate in his head. That's how he lived. I'm like, why do you all not think that's a stunt double doing this?
Yeah.
It just was one of those things that it's like, it was such an obvious thing going in that it took me, like, I got kind of frustrated whenever it got to like episode 9 before they like caught on to that. But yeah, like, even like you mentioned before, like the whole, like, how does the killer shoot the person from one window and then like go down and go to the other tower? I didn't know. I didn't catch it. I don't know if they said this. I didn't know the 2 towers were connected.
Yeah.
So the idea of the killer jumping out of the window and then shimmying all the way to the other side to collect the body didn't make sense to me, because I'm like, they're towers. They're not wings of a building. Those are 2 different things.
Yeah.
And so like, I didn't know that was a thing. And whenever they pointed that out, I was like, that just feels like they never gave me a good identification of the building.
They did not.
And I felt kind of gypped by that, and I was like, how could you? Well, okay, not that. Sorry. I felt a little, like, slighted by that.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. It was just,
I just feel like there was a lot of things that they didn't explain too well. I think the setup for the twist I was not happy with. I rolled my eyes a little bit. I was like, yeah, okay, well, you have to find a killer sooner or later.
Yeah.
But I was like, I don't think the setup was really good for this season. Last season was the same way, I think. Because last season, I'm trying to think who the killer was. Oh, it was the mom and
it was the son specifically, not the mom.
Yeah, the son. Yeah,
the son, the mom took the fall for the son, and then
I don't know. I think season 1 is still probably the best one. Season 2 is good. I remember Jan, and then I'm trying to think who season 2 was.
Season 2, gosh, after I thought about season 3, now my brain's like going bad. It was the I can't remember who season. Now I can't. I'll think about it while you explain what you're saying, but
yeah, I just feel like there was really no good setup, and I felt like sometimes when they were looking for evidence, it just didn't make sense why they would do something like that. Like the whole paradise thing, when he was like, "Oh, I gotta go to paradise," and then they go and Molly Shannon's there, and they don't really do anything there that like kind of connects more of the story. I will say this: the red herring that's in the season is very well done. I like the red herring in this season. Because
which one? Like, there's like 50.
Well, it was like, yeah, they did. But the thing was like the roommates. I think that was a good red herring where it was like, oh, okay. In the second body, because like the second body, you're like, whoa, there's another body, so there must be another.
Yeah, the second body was a good twist. I like that. My only issue with that is how they're like, we're weird. We're not criminals. We just, burned a body. It's like, that's a person committed suicide and you burnt the body. That's illegal, man. Like that's a crime scene. And then like Mabel's like, no, we're not going to tell anyone. We're just going to let this go because they deserve this, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like,
they murdered people.
No, they didn't murder anyone. They've been embezzling money. That's the issue.
Assisted suicide.
No, they didn't. He already took the pills before he went down there. He was dead. Like, that was the thing. He told them, like, I took so many pills. So record this for me because I'm going to die and this will, like, save you guys if you guys get caught. But the issue is it doesn't save them.
No.
Because they'll just be like, the police would just be like, yeah, okay, you didn't kill the person. You still drop checks off in his name, which is a check fraud, wire fraud. You still hid the body. You disposed of the body in a non-safe method. Like, you are all going to jail. Like,
also on top of that, you guys just admitted that you are committing fraud.
Multiple levels of fraud. Yeah. Even if, like, that's the issue. Even though it is a good reason, like, like in the concept of like housing pricing in the area is overflated to the point where it doesn't make sense, and they like bought the houses before then and all that stuff. It's good. Like, it's a good reason and like a good natured thing to do. Doesn't change the fact that it's still fraud. And
well, that and plus what's really funny about that whole situation, there was a really good funny dialogue there with the roommates that I really liked, and it was the part where Camille comes up and talks about his acting career and does a whole dialogue
from
monologue,
Few Good Men.
A Few Good Men, and like, I just like died the whole time. I was like, wow. And I was like, doesn't this happen almost every season? I think that this happened like 2 other seasons ago, where they had to sit through like something that someone was like talking about for a while, and they were maybe like, stuck.
I don't know. All I know is that when he was doing that monologue, it made me like do a spit take almost. When he's like, I'm going to do the monologue, and he begins the monologue. Normally, when you do a monologue, you don't do both actors. You only do one, and he starts it as doing both, and I'm just like, oh my gosh.
This guy.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
I do also like the fact that he's like a famous TikToker that is always Christmas themed because that's all he could get views for. And he's like, I hate Christmas. Like, I despise it. There was a lot of great things about this season I really liked. I enjoyed a lot of the different actors that joined, the different angles. They weren't all like held up in the building for very long. They were constantly moving around. But gosh dang it, man. Oliver Buttman, man, does he freaking do like a great narcissist, you know? By the end of that show, I was like, gosh dang it, dude, I don't know about him.
Yeah, Martin Short is hilarious. See, I really wish, like about, what was it, 7 years ago, Martin Short and Steve Martin were touring together as like a duo show, and I really wish I would have went. I had money and I had the time off for it, and I was like, man, I don't want to go by myself. I should have just went because I love Martin Short and I do love Steve Martin. So yeah, I still enjoy the show. I think that it's losing its little luster a little bit because I get to a point where I was like, I like the murder mystery, but I also am getting to the point is how many murders are really going to happen in this building, and like
I think. For me, it's not losing luster. I enjoy the show a lot. I could probably watch another like 2 or 3 seasons of this, no issue. I want the murders not to be focused on them.
Yeah.
In the first season, they felt it was focused on them. Second season, they thought it was focused on, like, each season they think it's on them. Like, there was a murder, it was because of something we are a part of. I would like the murder to take place in a time or area or something like that they are not involved with, and they are just outside sources investigating it, instead of like in this season where they're like, we are targets, or in the first season where it's like, oh no, we're a target. Like, I just want more of that is all. Yeah, I think that'd be fun. Which next season, I mean, if the bellhop is dead, I assume it's not going to be a we are the target situation, but
it's more
it would be
the building itself.
Yeah, more the building itself. You'll learn something about it. I'm still waiting for the guy who plays Michael. The one guy who wanted to make the podcast about job pets. Yeah. I'm calling it now for next season. He's going to be the murderer, and he is going to be the one who killed the bellhop, because he finds out the bellhop was the person who poisoned the dog. That's how they'll make it go full round. Like, he's like, I found out he poisoned him. He gave the dog what he thought was sugar because he thought sugar would make the dog happy, but it wasn't sugar. It was rat poison because he's the incompetent person. I had to protect that doggy. Like, I thought it was like, it's going to be something crazy like that. Because he is like psycho level of like friendship, which makes me feel bad because like he's really into like wanting to like help and make things work, but it's also because he wants to like get the stuff he wants done as well. So who knows if like that will ever be a thing. I'm just waiting for him to finally have his like monologue of being the villain in the show, which would be nice. But I also like him as a character. Except whenever he left the apartment to, what's it called? Audition for the only murderers in the building, which was obviously placed there for him. Like, it's like, come on.
He Charlie Chaplin himself.
Mm-hmm.
When Charlie Chaplin lookalike came in third.
Yeah. It was good. It was good. Yep.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad season. I'm still enjoying the show. Like, I think it's funny. It's kind of losing its little focus for me, but I still enjoy it. I think it's hilarious.
Speaking about it being funny, I played tabletop VTM last night or on Friday, and I was already a couple episodes into the season, and there was a point where we had to like we were trying to get into like this building, and I redid the joke from the season with the bar person where I'm like, how about my friend Mr. Abraham Lincoln? How about George Washington? Or how about I forget who's on the $20 bill. Hamilton. And I'm like, can you break this?
no,
You can
Jackson.
keep 5.
It's Jackson.
Whoever it was, I'm like, can you break this? You can keep 5 of it, but I need the change back. And like the table found that hilarious. I had to come clean. I'm like, that's from Only Murders in the Building. Watch it, do, and did like a little take for them to watch it.
They all went home and decided not to watch it.
They all went home, and I proceeded to tell them about Interview with the Vampire on AMC, and they're going to watch that. So
Oh wow.
you gotta know your audience, you know. Bunch of nerds playing Vampire the Masquerade, tell them about a vampire show, they're going to go watch the vampire show. But all right, Austin. Well, I think that basically covers it for this episode of Bros and Shows of Only Murders in the Building. Awesome. I want to thank you so much for joining me on this episode. Next week, we're going to start Animal Control Season 1. So we decided to put a pause on Tales of the Crypt, and we're going to just wait until the spooky season again to continue that, because it's going to be another 3 seasons of it. And it's like, instead of sitting here and like trying to go through it whenever we're going to have a bunch of other shows coming up constantly, we're just going to take a pause from that and then just do basically a special next October for Tales of the Crypt and move on from that. So we are going to do Animal Control Season 1. It is a show with Joel McHale, main character from Community. A lot of people know him. That's what put that show on my radar. I have not watched it yet, so this will be fun to watch. So we'll see how this goes. So, Austin, I want to thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Bros and Shows. And I want to thank you all so much for stopping by, and thank you all so much for tuning in.